welcome to another video on the channel, and we're talking about Elbaf today, or are we? We spent like 6 months in a flashback, and then we see Loki's dragon form. We're getting to the meat of the arc, and I'm out here going, what's next? Well, it's kind of fun to see what's next, right? I think there are 4 pretty obvious options here that Oda has been setting up for the next arc after Elbaf. So once we're done playing with dragons again in Elbaf, we have stuff to do, and there's a lot of stuff to do in TAC. So I mentioned there are 4 things. The first thing I'm going to mention, which makes the most sense to me, is we're going to go to Lodestar. Lodestar is the last island in the Grand Line before Laugh-Tale, and surely we have to go there at some point. I say it like that because I was reading some stuff on Reddit about people saying, why would we even go to Lodestar? I'm like, we have to go. It's the last major island. I don't care when we're doing it, we have to go. There is no way we're not going to. And for like a reason to go outside of I want to, and it would make sense, just logistically, the next one, maybe we find the last poneglyph there. Maybe we find the man marked by flames. That could make a ton of sense. If it's not Gabon, we go to Lodestar, we find the man marked by flames, and then we go to Laugh-Tale. That would make a ton of sense to me. That's what I think is going to happen. It's the literal next island. And then the other, there's 3 more locations I think we could go to. I'm going to kind of connect the two of them here in a second. We have Marijwa, and then we have Laugh-Tale. Now, just kind of from a timing standpoint, Oda's got a lot of stuff to do, wrapping up the story. Maybe we do just find the man marked by flames and go to Laugh-Tale right after this. That could make sense, because although right now we're fighting the God's Knights and the world government, riddle me this. What reason does Luffy have to go to Marijwa right now? He actually doesn't have one. Outside of Robin, Luffy has never stated, I want to fight the world government. That's my goal. That's who I am. If you remember, multiple occasions in the story, Luffy has said, hey, I'm not a hero. That's not who I am. I'm a pirate. Now, for someone that's a pirate and not a hero, he does do a lot of princess saving in certain arcs, also known as most arcs. So he does do a lot of hero activities, but he said, hey, I'm not a hero, I'm a pirate. Okay, whatever you say. So if we were to go to Marijwa, there would have to be a reason. There could be a couple that could come up here. Why would Luffy want to go? Well, maybe Oda's not really setting this up with kind of what's happening with Summers and potentially Gunko. I actually made another video on that, how I think something's going to happen with each of the God's Knights on Elbaf. Maybe they succeed. Maybe they do capture the children, take them back to Marijwa. That would be enough reason. Luffy would have, 1, had to have failed, and 2, been pretty pissed off. So he says, all right, I am tired of these God's Knights. I don't like them. They just captured children. I'm going to go to Marijwa to fight them and the Elders, and then also run into Imu, which he wouldn't know about. That could be a reason, or one of the Straw Hats potentially gets captured along with them. Goes to Marijwa, which you would think maybe not the best idea right now, especially after Loki is probably going to wreak some havoc. Well, where I was going with that is, if they're going to capture, in this theory, if they capture the kids, they take them to Marijwa, why would they then capture one of the Straw Hats to piss off Luffy too? Because they've already made the Giants and Loki mad, which may be a little bit of a problem, because there's a lot of stuff going on with Marijwa, right? The revolutionaries attacked recently, now there's this whole famine, Shamrock had to get sent back. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I don't know if they want to add more problems, but clearly, if they kidnap the children, that will be a problem, and that could be a reason that Luffy would go to Marijwa right after Elbaf, which could make sense. The other way that I think we could go to Marijwa that would have a reason, which would take us going to Laugh-Tale first, because Oda has mentioned that with the One Piece, there's going to be information about the Void Century, right? We learned that from the Roger Pirates. So maybe Luffy finally, he becomes king of the pirates, he gets the One Piece, we're at Laugh-Tale, and then he says, okay, I'm king of the pirates now, which I would think we'd have to fight Blackbeard first, but give me a second. He becomes king of the pirates. He learns about the Void Century and then says, okay, I need to go fight the world government. Although there has been many hints along the line here of who is really in the right, who is really just, the ancient kingdom or the 20 families in the world government, which of course we've seen that Imu's doing horrible things, so, we can take a guess who that would be. And then once he learns about the Void Century, becomes king of the pirates, he then goes to Marijwa. So in that order, Lodestar, Laugh-Tale, Marijwa. That could be a path we're going to take. I did mention there was a 4th location, and it's one that is a very big gaping hole of knowledge that we have not received in over 100 chapters. I made a video kind of about this location and this event a while back. Garp. That is a big thing that we have to tackle. That is not something that is just going to get left to the wayside for multiple reasons. One, it's Garp. Two, it's Blackbeard. We could be going there directly after Elbaf. Currently, Luffy doesn't know what happened. Whenever he finds out, you would think, surely his next stop has got to be going to Hachinosu. Now, people might say, because there's a lot of, this is the end game, we really need to wrap stuff up, and people have been wondering, hey, who is the final villain? Is it Emu or is it Blackbeard? This could literally tell us it's going to be Emu just from like a timing perspective. If we go there right after Elbaf, you would think Blackbeard would get defeated, and that would literally leave Emu by default. Okay? If we go to Hachinosu, Luffy would have learned about what happened to Garp, and he would have said, okay, I cannot let that stand. I saw what happened to Ace. I'm not going to let it happen to my grandfather. So him, the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, they all go to Hachinosu and have this epic battle with the Blackbeard Pirates. Now, it's kind of... There also is that part about... Because currently we know that Garp is a prisoner, but maybe he won't always be, right? Because Blackbeard had mentioned his original plan with Kobe was to use him as a bargaining chip to have Beehive recognized as a country of the world government, which was, of course, never going to happen. But with Blackbeard, we don't really know all of what he says is true, right? From a warlord standpoint, we didn't know what his real intentions were to go into Impel Down and build a really strong crew with prisoners from the lowest levels of Impel Down. So taking what Blackbeard says is kind of like a grain of salt. Maybe he eventually trades him with the world government before anything happens, and Oda's like not even using that as a Luffy's coming to save him plot point, but as a Blackbeard's getting more of what he wants plot point. Okay, I don't know. But if he is still being held as a prisoner and he says, okay, I can't get anywhere with him, which you would think he would want to use him as a bargaining chip, but maybe he says, I can't get anywhere, I'm just going to execute him, which again, what does that do for Blackbeard? But it just sounds like it could make sense. He goes, I'm going to execute him. Luffy hears, he gathers the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. They all gather together, and then we go have this huge epic battle with the Blackbeard Pirates. Yeah, that could be where we're going next. A final clash between Luffy and Blackbeard, which I really don't know if it's going to happen, but is it going to happen that quickly? And I say that really all because of what we learned recently with Rocks and about who Blackbeard is and about God Valley. Rocks promised Emu, I will be back. Why would Oda draw that in here just to kill Rocks at God Valley? Isn't he insinuating that, like, my life will live on? Of course, Rocks wasn't saying that literally. He was saying, I will be back. But from an Oda perspective, isn't he, like, writing that as, my bloodline will be back, I will live on, and that would be Marshall D. Teach. Make a ton of sense for it to be Blackbeard that comes and fights the world government. Because, as I mentioned earlier, right, Luffy has no reason to fight the world government. Sure, he doesn't like him, but he's not out here going, I want to go to Marijua on top of the world government. That is something Blackbeard wants to do, but it feels like it's a Luffy's job, right? So it could go either way about who is next, who is the final villain, who's going to fight who. We have like this weird triangle of Luffy, Blackbeard, Emu, and then we have like these weird other factions. We've got Shanks, we've got Dragon. Like, where does everyone play into it? So going to Hachinosu could make a ton of sense next, just from Luffy's not going to make him die, that kind of thing. But someone else could save Garp too, right? It doesn't have to be Luffy. Potentially we have Sword, and I would have thought Aokiji, maybe, but I think that ship has sailed. Sword goes to save him. Kobe, Bogard would be amazing. I mean, he was there in the first place. What the hell was he doing? I made a video about that too. I don't know. There's a lot of people. Sengoku, Suru, Bogard, Kobe, Sword. There could be a lot of people, of course, with the Straw Hats potentially as well. So Lodestar, Laugh Tale, Marijua, and Hachinosu. That makes the most sense to me. The one I think that Lodestar and Hachinosu are the two I'm really zeroing in on, because the question is, this has to be asked. When does Luffy find out about Garp? Who's going to tell him? How's he going to find out? When's he going to find out? Who, what, when, where, why? It all leads to Garp. In my opinion, because that is an event that will just immediately, you would think, trigger an event for Luffy to go do. It'd be like a really big, important side quest with like a gold level reward, and he would have to go immediately. Outside of that, I just don't see us going to Marijua unless the children get successfully kidnapped. I really don't. I think it makes the most sense to go to Lodestar, and I've seen some people mention this, because I had kind of drawn it up as the man marked by flames is on Lodestar as we're going there anyways, so it would make a ton of sense, right? We meet the man marked by flames, but maybe the way this goes is not only do we do that, we get the 4th poneglyph that I mentioned. He meets Dragon. He could meet Dragon. They kind of talk about what's going on, and Luffy says, okay, I'm starting to understand what you're saying about fighting the world government. We then get to Laugh Tale. Luffy again gets the One Piece, and then there's more like weight into the idea in Luffy's head about defeating the world government, beating Imu, Luffy, you've achieved your goal. Then we go to Muruijoa and fight the world government. Which, again, I'm telling you, it's just this one thing with Garp. That really is, okay, the reason we would go to fight Blackbeard immediately. So maybe we go to Hachinosu first, then Lodestar. At some point, we're going to Hachinosu. It just has to happen. I'm not sure on the order, but I think we're going to Lodestar first, just because it is the next island and a natural progression. If you guys have any ideas, if you think I missed a location, please let me know. I'm always interested in hearing opinions. And if you guys could leave a like and a sub, I'm trying to do close to daily One Piece content, so if you like that, leaving a sub would help you get recommended my videos and would help me out as I'm a new channel. If you guys leave any comments, I will try to hop in the comment section with you guys so I can see what everyone's thinking. And yeah, I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow. We'll see.